Hello fellow travelers, if you're interested in taking a trip with Go Ahead Tours, specifically the Grand Tour of Spain, stay tuned for a detailed review of the value, the itinerary, the lodging, food, customer service. I'm even going to share some money saving tips. My rating system is pretty simple. Something's either great, good, okay, bad, or horrible. If you're interested in just a particular aspect, check out the description box. You'll find timestamps below. I found the value of the Grand Tour of Spain pretty good. So first off, I would say going with Go Ahead Tours can be expensive, and it's even more expensive if you travel alone like I did. That added additional $550 to my total. But the reason why I say it's good is I feel like you get a lot of things for your money. I started off wanting to travel to Spain on my own and trying to plan my own trip, and just realized I didn't have enough expertise to feel like I was gonna do this the right way and be able to see everything that I wanted to see. So Go Away Tours, is able to provide transportation, the best sightseeing tours, lodging, meals, and all of those things for that price. I feel like really balances out, and it's a really good value. If you're looking for ways to save money on your trip with Go Ahead Tours, the first thing that I suggest is using a referral link to make your account. So this was something that I knew nothing about when I booked my trip, so I didn't have the opportunity to take advantage of this, but now that I know, I'm spreading the word, and I have a link down in the description. If you click that link, it'll take you to create an account with Go Ahead, and when you create an account through a referral link, then it'll credit you $100 that you could use towards your trip. So that's an awesome, easy way to save $100. Another way is if you're a part of any airline loyalty programs, or maybe you have a nice travel credit card, it might be more beneficial for you to book your own flight so that you could receive those benefits, or that you could use your points or something to book your flight. And the last one involves their excursions or their extras. So you can sign up for extra activities, extra sightseeing, extra locations, things like that with Go Ahead Tours, and sometimes they get canceled. And they will get canceled because maybe enough people in your tour group aren't interested. So, Go Ahead isn't able to justify, 2 people going on that trip alone. But what will happen is Go Ahead has a lot of connections. So whatever tour company they were working with anyways to send us, instead of sending us as just one Go Ahead group, they can push you with another group and allow you to go and you just come back. And I did that for a couple of my excursions that were canceled. And what I saw was that the actual price of the sightseeing tour was way cheaper than what Go Ahead was charging me. So I imagine that that's because when we go with Go Ahead, we're a private group, so it's gonna cost more. But I would say save money by booking your excursions later. So the itinerary is where I feel Go Ahead's tours, Grand Tour of Spain really outshines. It's great. So I'm gonna have to read off a list to say all the places that we went, but I just feel that they did an expert job at utilizing the time we had to see as many major things, and also allow for freedom and things like that. So I started off in Madrid. We went to Toledo, Sevilla, Costa del Sol. I went to Gibraltar, Granada, Valencia, and we ended in Barcelona. And even while we're traveling to these different locations, the beauty of the travel was nice to look at, the plains, the mountains, or the farms, or different things like that. And we even stopped in some places to explore. So we stopped in the caves and were able to see a home of a family who's living in the caves. We stopped at an olive oil or olive garden where they produce olive oil, and was able to learn a lot more about olive oil, do tastings and shop and things like that. So I think that's really special. And then when you're in the different locations, Madrid is where we spent most of our time. Every other place I felt like we had more like a day and a half. And we are able to see all the major sightseeing tours, and they're given by, great great tour guides, and then you're given free time. And before you just let off on this free time, you have a tour guide. He probably has another name, but there's someone who's there for you the entire trip. So for me, from Madrid to Barcelona, and you'll become close. And before you get this free time, they'll make sure you know what you want to do. So you went on this tour already. Maybe in your guided tour, you saw a place that you want to explore more. Maybe you're into food. So you'll have someone there for you that when you're given that free time can help you decide how you want to spend it. I would rate Go Ahead Tours Grand Tour Spain lodging as good. So one of my favorite things was the hotel that we were in Madrid had a free cell phone that you can make like international calls, texts, and everything. And it was a lifesaver because I had my own phone plan where I could use, my phone internationally, but I couldn't get it to work when I first got there. So I needed some way to, contact my cell phone provider and work that out so I could get my own phone to work. So having that cell phone was awesome. Also, the beds are all comfy. They're all in walkable locations, so you could, walk out and find a market or a bakery, or, they have their own restaurants or things like that. And also, they all were, I don't think I paid any more than like 10 euros from our hotel to like any sites or anything that I wanted to go see. And also, a lot of times we would split with other people in the groups if we're taking a cab anyways. So it is close enough to where it doesn't cost you much on a cab to get to where you want to go. I would say the downside though is I did stay in one hotel that was weird. Only because it was under construction, and also my room felt like it was away from everyone else. So it was weird, guys. It takes away from the great, but that was only one hotel and it was a very short stay. And then also it would be nice, I heard some of the people who have been on other tours would Go Ahead, or maybe I had one lady who actually went on the same exact tour before, who noted that the hotels could be even closer. Instead of being a 10, did I say dollar earlier, 10 euro cab ride, it could be walkable. So I mean, like 10 minutes walkable, because you could walk farther, you could walk there, but I want to just be able to walk out of my hotel and be where I want to be. So that would be nice. And something else that has nothing to do with the rating that I just want to bring up, because it's just one of those cultural things that nobody tells you and you don't realize till you're there. Bring your own washcloth or loofah or whatever it is that you use to bathe, because you will not find that there. It took like multiple hotels for me to finally decide and realize, like, no, I don't think anyone uses washcloths here, or that's not a normal thing for a hotel to provide. I was really close, and I might even be lying by saying I was really close, because I might have used it. But I found like a small towel, but now that I'm thinking about where the location was, that was definitely for the bidet and like drying your butt off. So bring your own washcloth. So the food, this is always my favorite part anywhere. So I would rate the food on the Grand Tour of Spain as really good. So it's honestly close to great. So breakfast is provided, I think, honestly every day by the hotels. So that was kind of hit or miss. At some of the hotels it was amazing, and at some other hotels it was just okay. It wasn't nasty anywhere, but once you had great, you kind of start to look at, okay breakfast differently. So, and also our days start very early. So if you are not waking up too early, you might not be able to utilize breakfast to the fullest extent and end up hungry later. So lunches usually are a part of your free time, so you're on your own for lunches. And this was an awesome opportunity to, you know, try out tapas and different things like that. And then the dinners, the majority of the time you have dinner together, and I really enjoyed our dinners together. It was really nice just to come together and, you know, talk about what we all did on our free time, or discuss what we're going to do in the next days, try new food together and talk about it. So I enjoyed the dinners and most of the food. So Go Ahead Tours customer service. I'm gonna break it down into 3 sections. So like before the trip, during the trip, and after the trip. So before the trip, the customer service was great. I would call them a lot because I was traveling alone, and I just wanted to know, like, hey, who else is on my tour? Is there anyone else traveling alone? What are the ages of the people? Are they couples? Just all of these things. So they were very open and like easing any of my worries. It was really easy to get someone on the phone. They were really understanding of any of my questions, and I enjoyed contacting them and speaking with them prior to booking my trip. Now, during the trip, I also think the customer service was great. So like I said, you have someone there waiting for you. I was so scared to just get off the plane and what if I can't recognize like who's here to pick me up? Because again, I'm alone, my phone's not working. And you know, it was so easy to see like, oh look, that's the person that's here for me. From Go Ahead Tours, to easily get to my hotel, to have our, I think tour director, there we go. Our tour director with us the whole time and, you know, take good care of us was awesome. Also, something that Go Ahead does that I just think is value for any company is you get a survey. So, you know, you're going to rate every part of your trip, whether it's, you know, the tour, a specific sightseeing tour that you took and how you feel about the person who gave you that tour, the food of the different restaurants, the hotels. So I feel like when a company is asking for feedback, it always leaves, you know, the potential for growth. So I really appreciated that. And another thing that was phenomenal was, unfortunately, someone did get hurt during our trip. Like they slipped off a sidewalk and needed to go home. And well, she didn't want to go home, but you know, it was definitely in her best interest for her to go home and, you know, see her own doctor and all of those things. And Go Ahead and our tour director just showed her such an amazing amount of care during that time. They flew her back quickly, I think first class. Just all of those things just showed me in those moments the kind of company that Go Ahead Tour is, and I knew that I would want to, you know, continue booking trips with them after that. Now, my after the trip customer service, I was so annoyed with them. I'm gonna say it was bad because I mentioned earlier that your excursions and stuff can get canceled, and if you pay for them in advance, then Go Ahead is going to need to refund you. Y'all, I waited for months for that refund, to the point where I would, you know, have to check up on them and say like, hey, is it happening? Do you guys know that I'm supposed to receive a refund? All of these things. I went on this trip mid-April. I got my refund in July. So, you know, I had to do a lot of contacting. And again, it's always easy to get a hold of someone, but you know, there's no true timeline. They say it's because, well, your tour director has to like send in paperwork, and this is done, you know, through snail mail. They're in all different countries and stuff like that, so it could take some time. But months for a refund, I don't think is ever acceptable. So I would average all of those experiences out to say that Go Ahead Tours customer service is good. So I feel like I said earlier, the way to avoid that whole my bad experience is just don't book your excursions early. So my overall recommendation of anyone considering taking the Grand Tour of Spain with Go Ahead, or honestly any tour with Go Ahead, I would definitely recommend that you go. My trip was awesome, and I was alone, but I never felt alone because of the small groups that Go Ahead puts together, and also because of my tour director. So those are things that I, you know, might have not felt if I went with another company. Also, just going with the tour group period, and one that handles everything from flight to, you know, travel throughout, sightseeing, all of that, it was so stress-free. Like, you know, people would ask like in the morning, oh, Akia, like, what are you gonna do with your free time? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna figure it out as I go. I didn't have to do any pre-homework. Now, a lot of people probably would do pre-homework, but I was in grad school too while I was doing that. So I had real homework. So, you know, but I didn't have to stress out trying to figure out, okay, what's the best, you know, bus company? What's the best tour for this? Or what are all the things I need to see when I'm here? And I am usually a person that likes to be in control, but I just felt confident that Go Ahead knew what they were doing. And after going on that trip, I still feel that way. So if you're like a control freak and you want to kind of like plan out everything, you could do that, but you also could save yourself a lot less stress and let Go Ahead do it and plan out, you know, your free time or other things like that. What else? I felt safe again as a solo traveler, and just the way that the itinerary is set up for the Grand Tour of Spain. I have had this love affair with Spain since like college, and specifically with Madrid, but I was able to see just everything, and I got to see so many different locations in Spain. And there's some places that I know, like, okay, like I'm content, I felt like I've seen it, I've done it, I can, you know, I'll be okay if I don't go back there. But there's other places that I saw that I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to come back for, you know, this event, or I want to see more of that. Like, I could see myself living here. So just getting a little taste of everything, I think is awesome. Some people, you know, might feel like, oh, I want to stay in one place longer, or this and that. But I don't feel like that's the purpose of this tour. The purpose of this tour is for you to just get as much in those few weeks. And we got a lot in those few weeks. So I think that this is a great tour. I hope you know, enjoy it if you book it. If you have any questions still before you book, please feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. And do not forget to use that referral link so that you can save $100.